Hello, my dear friends. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you to this special news update. Friends, the news that has come out today has attracted the attention of not just thousands, but millions of people, because this news is directly connected to those individuals who depend on the monthly payments they receive from the Social Security Administration to manage their everyday lives. In the United States, millions of retirees, disabled individuals, and many other eligible citizens rely on Social Security payments every month. And whenever there is any discussion about an increase in this program, it immediately becomes a major topic of conversation. Over the past few months, there has been growing discussion that Social Security payments could see a noticeable increase in 2026. And the latest reports that have come out have made this discussion even stronger. Friends, if you also want to know how much Social Security could increase in 2026, who may benefit the most from this increase, whether every beneficiary will see a rise in their payments, and what factors could lead to this increase, then make sure to watch this video until the end, because today we are going to understand this topic in detail. First, let's understand what Social Security actually is. Social Security is a government program in the United States that was first introduced in 1935. The purpose of this program was to provide financial security to people who are no longer able to work in their old age. Under this program, payments are mainly provided to three groups of people. First are retired individuals, second are people with disabilities, and third are family members of workers who have passed away. Today, Social Security has become one of the largest social safety programs in the United States. According to recent reports, more than 70 million people are currently receiving Social Security benefits. That is why any news related to this program quickly becomes a major national discussion. Now, the biggest question is, why is there so much discussion about a Social Security increase in 2026? Friends, Social Security payments are adjusted every year through a special process known as the Cost of Living Adjustment, commonly called COLA. The purpose of COLA is to make sure that beneficiaries do not lose their purchasing power when inflation increases. If the cost of living rises, Social Security payments are adjusted accordingly. Over the past few years, the United States has seen significant fluctuations in inflation. Because of this, COLA increases have sometimes been higher than expected. For example, in 2023, Social Security benefits were increased by about 8.7%. This was one of the largest increases in several decades. Now, the question is, what could happen in 2026? Although the official COLA rate for 2026 has not yet been announced, several economic analysts believe that another moderate increase could be possible. There are several reasons behind this expectation. The first reason is the continued impact of inflation. The second reason is the rising cost of living. And the third reason is the effort to improve the financial condition of senior citizens. According to some early estimates, Social Security payments could increase around 2 to 3% in 2026. However, this is only a projection. The final decision will be made later based on official inflation data. Now let's talk about the question that every beneficiary is most interested in. If there is an increase in 2026, what could the average payment look like? According to current reports, the average retired worker in the United States receives about $1,900 to $2,000 per month in Social Security benefits. If a 3% increase happens, this amount could rise by roughly $60 per month. This means that for many people, the monthly payment could reach somewhere between about $1,960 to $2,060. However, this is only an estimate. The actual amount will vary from person to person. It is also important to understand that Social Security increases are not the same for everyone. This is because every beneficiary has a different base benefit amount. For example, if someone currently receives $1,500 per month, their increase will be different from someone who receives $3,000 per month. That is why some beneficiaries may see a larger increase, while others may see a smaller one. Friends, millions of senior citizens in the United States depend heavily on Social Security. For many of them, this payment is their primary source of income. So whenever there is a possibility of an increase, hopes naturally begin to rise. Many senior citizen organizations have also been urging the government to increase Social Security benefits more significantly so that older Americans can cope with rising living costs. This issue has also been discussed many times in American politics. Friends, so far we have understood what Social Security is, why there is discussion about a possible increase in 2026, and how much the payments might increase. But the biggest question still remains. If Social Security really increases in 2026, who will benefit the most? Will all beneficiaries be eligible? And what could be the maximum possible payment? In the next part, we will discuss all of these important questions in detail.
Now, let's talk about some of the most important questions. The biggest question many people are asking is, if Social Security Administration payments increase in 2026, who will actually benefit from it? Will every beneficiary receive a higher payment? And could some people receive a larger increase than others? Let's take a closer look and understand this topic in detail. Who could benefit from the 2026 increase? First, it's important to understand that the cost of living adjustment, COLA, increase does not apply only to new beneficiaries. Instead, the increase usually applies to all people who are already receiving payments from the Social Security Administration. This means that if a COLA increase is announced for 2026, it will likely benefit everyone who currently receives Social Security payments. There are three major groups of beneficiaries who could benefit from this increase: retired workers, disabled beneficiaries, and families receiving survivor benefits. All three of these groups could see their payments rise if the COLA adjustment is approved. Retired workers could see the biggest impact. The largest group of Social Security beneficiaries in the United States are retired workers. Millions of Americans depend on monthly payments from the Social Security Administration after they finish their working careers. When a COLA increase happens, the biggest overall impact is usually seen among retired beneficiaries. For example, if the COLA increase for 2026 is around 2 to 3%, retirement payments would increase by that same percentage. Let's look at a simple example. If someone currently receives $2,000 per month and a 3% increase is applied, their new monthly payment could be around $2,060. While this increase might not seem very large, it can make a meaningful difference over time. Impact on disabled beneficiaries. Social Security is not only for retirees. It also supports people who are unable to work because of serious physical or mental conditions. These individuals receive benefits through the Social Security Disability Insurance Program, SDDI. If a COLA increase takes effect, SDDI beneficiaries also receive the same percentage increase in their monthly payments. That means people with disabilities could also benefit from the potential 2026 adjustment. Benefits for families and survivors. Another important group receiving Social Security payments is survivor beneficiaries. These are family members of a worker who has passed away but had previously paid into the Social Security system. Survivor benefits may be paid to a surviving spouse, dependent children, and in some cases, dependent parents. If COLA increases are applied, these payments can also increase. This shows that Social Security adjustments affect many different types of beneficiaries, not just retirees. Now let's talk about another question many people ask. If there is an increase in 2026, what could the maximum Social Security payment be? Social Security benefits are different for every person. The amount mainly depends on three key factors: how many years the person worked, their average lifetime earnings, and the age at which they start claiming benefits. People who worked for many years and had higher incomes usually receive larger benefits. According to some estimates, people who delay retirement until age 70 may receive the highest possible monthly benefit.
Currently, the maximum Social Security payment can reach around $4,800 per month for high earners who claim benefits at age 70. However, it's important to note that most people do not receive this maximum amount. It generally only applies to workers who had very high lifetime earnings. Now, let's look at the average Social Security benefit. Currently, the average retired worker in the United States receives about $1,900 to $2,000 per month. If a 3% COLA increase happens in 2026, the average monthly payment could increase by around $60. This means the average benefit might rise to approximately $1,960 to $2,060 per month. However, this is only an estimate, and the actual increase could be different. Inflation plays a major role. The main reason Social Security benefits increase each year is inflation. To calculate COLA, the government uses a special economic indicator known as the Consumer Price Index. This index measures how the prices of goods and services change over time. If inflation rises significantly, the COLA increase is usually larger, but if inflation slows down, the increase may be smaller. That is why the COLA rate changes every year. Could there be a big increase in 2026? Many experts believe that inflation is beginning to stabilize compared to the past few years. If inflation continues to slow, the 2026 COLA increase may not be extremely large, but beneficiaries could still receive some level of financial relief. So far in this second part, we discussed who could benefit from the 2026 Social Security increase, what the maximum possible payment might be, and how COLA increases are calculated. But there are still some important questions remaining. For example, could the future funding of Social Security face challenges? Is the government planning major changes to the program? What difficulties might beneficiaries face in the coming years? These are the questions we will explore in the next part.
For example, is the Social Security Fund secure in the future? Could there be any major changes to this program? And what challenges might beneficiaries face in the coming years? So, let's understand this topic in detail. Concerns about the Social Security Fund. Friends, over the past few years, one issue has been discussed repeatedly: the future of the Social Security Trust Fund. This fund is the pool of money used to pay Social Security benefits. The program is mainly administered by the Social Security Administration. However, several economic reports have warned that if reforms are not made in the future, pressure on the Social Security Trust Fund could increase. Some analysts believe that in the coming decades, the number of beneficiaries will continue to rise, while the number of working people contributing to the system is growing more slowly. This imbalance could affect the financial stability of the program. However, the government has continued to take steps to keep the system stable and functioning. Aging population. One major reason for the increasing pressure on the Social Security program is the aging population. Today, people are living longer than they did in the past. This means that after retirement, individuals require Social Security payments for a longer period of time. When more people receive benefits for longer durations, the total cost of the program increases. Because of this, many experts believe that certain reforms may be necessary in the future to maintain the system. Possible reforms. Now, the question arises, what changes could strengthen the Social Security system? Several proposals have been discussed over the years. Some experts suggest that adjustments could be made to payroll taxes. Others believe that the retirement age could gradually be increased over time. However, these ideas are currently only part of ongoing discussions. Any major change would require approval from both the government and Congress. Demands from senior citizens. In the United States, many senior citizen organizations are urging the government to increase Social Security payments. They argue that the cost of everyday necessities continues to rise due to inflation. In particular, healthcare expenses have increased significantly. Many seniors believe that the current COLA system does not fully reflect their real living costs. For this reason, calls for improvements to the system continue to emerge from time to time. Debate over the COLA system.
The increase in Social Security payments is mainly based on the cost of living adjustment, commonly known as COLA. This system increases payments according to inflation. However, some experts argue that the index currently used to calculate COLA does not fully represent the actual expenses of senior citizens. COLA is primarily calculated using the Consumer Price Index, but seniors often spend more on healthcare and medications compared to the general population. Because of this, some experts suggest using a different index specifically designed to reflect the spending patterns of older Americans. What can be expected for 2026? Now, let's talk about the most important question. What can Social Security beneficiaries expect in 2026? As mentioned earlier, the official COLA rate for 2026 has not yet been announced. However, early estimates suggest that beneficiaries may receive a moderate increase. If inflation remains under control, the increase could be modest. But if inflation rises, the COLA increase could also be higher. Therefore, it may take some time before the final numbers are confirmed. Important advice for beneficiaries. For Social Security beneficiaries, it is important to update financial plans from time to time. Due to inflation and other economic factors, the cost of living continues to change. That's why individuals should maintain a balance between their savings, expenses, and sources of income. Social Security is an important support system, but many experts advise that relying solely on it may not always be the safest long-term strategy. Final conclusion. Friends, if we summarize the entire discussion, a few key points become clear. First, there is ongoing discussion about a potential increase in Social Security payments in 2026. Second, this increase will mainly be determined by the COLA system. Third, all eligible beneficiaries could receive the benefit of this increase. And fourth, certain reforms may be needed in the future to strengthen the Social Security system. Friends, this was the complete information related to the Social Security Increase 2026. If you are a Social Security beneficiary or interested in this topic, make sure to keep an eye on the official announcement in the coming months. Only after that will it become clear how much the actual increase will be in 2026. If you liked this video, please press the like button. Also, share it with your friends and family so they can also learn about this important update. If you have any questions about Social Security in 2026 or would like to share your opinion, feel free to leave a comment below. And to stay updated with the latest news and updates, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.